we can get caught up into seeing something on social media or listening to somebody else's description about how you should feel about something and then take it on without checking in. Is this my story? Is this my belief, my pattern, my decision, or have I allowed it to be installed in me without actually checking to see, does this make my heart sing? Does this feel uplifting? Does this resonate with my own core values and beliefs?
Debz is a stressologist. She will stretch your mindset to think bigger than you've ever thought before, with follow-through techniques that are realistic and achievable to blow any fear out of your mind. Moira is a mindset cultivator. She will help you align your personal trinity of self-trust, inner awareness, and self-confidence so that you discover and share your unique gifts and purpose. Together, their goal with these conversations is to share how our inclinations do not always work in our best interest and to provide the knowledge to leverage the gifts that already exist within each one of us. Their desire is to help you learn how to access the habits and behaviors that will lead to positive change and your best quality of life. Welcome to your deliciously motivated mindset.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Moira. Hello, listeners. Welcome to another deliciously motivated mindset with Debz and Moira. Welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to be chatting.
Good to hear you. Hear you.
You.
Well, I'm not going to say today is a goodie. It is a goodie.
It is. P.S. Psst, it's a goodie.
Yeah.
They always are.
That's the one. But first we're going to rate RATE ourselves. And when I say rate ourselves, this will be interesting for us, Moira, because usually we talk for an hour and a half, sometimes even 2 hours, and then go, whoops, and we've actually got to do a podcast.
Yeah, and we've only done for like half an hour.
Yeah, what? Well, this will be. So we can say there's two things for us. Usually we actually say what were we like before we got on the call, but I think probably before we got on the call, I'm the same. Wherever I was, I don't feel any different when I got on.
No,
I haven't solved the universe. Yeah.
You always do.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't bring any chaos to the table today. No, I didn't. I had to think about that. So what are you on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being neutral and balanced and zen, and 10 being in that corner, rocking, sucking your thumb? Oh, gosh, listen to myself. You can tell when Moira and I introduce, we're both very different people. And 10 being chaotic. You're stuck where you are and you feel there's no way out.
You're thinking, oh, my God, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah. So where would you be on you are right here, right now? And where would you be on the topic, Moira? And listeners, if you could rate yourself as well.
Yes. So this is what we like you to do, is to rate yourselves as we go into our topic and then at the end. So for me, at the moment, I'm going to put myself at a 3. I do have different things. And she's laughing because she probably is at a 3 herself. And then, I am going to put myself at a 1 on this topic. I really like this topic and I walk with it. This is a lot of and all my clients and students know this. I do walk my talk. So, and I want to share that.
And I'm going to say exactly the same, because I'm a 3 in where I am emotionally, physically. Probably, if anything, my chaos this morning was the dog, the noise outside, and then the dog doing this, and then the dog doing that. And now the dog's lying right beside me. Yeah, he's in out because he's been out barking at even the leaves that have blown from the tree. So I'm going to say that was probably my chaos. I'm just going to say a 3 and 1 on the topic, because I'm quite excited about the topic, because it's really interesting how much we attach to it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to give you a drum roll, people, because I do seem to forget that we've actually already announced the topic on our social media anyway.
Yes,
so
if you're listening to this, you already know it.
yeah, you knew it before even Moira and I started talking, actually. So it's buying into other people's stories. And when we look at this, you can break these 5 words down: buying into other people's stories.
Yep.
So Moira, hit it off. Take us off the charts here. Let's hit this one.
So, I think that this one, and why I like talking about this, is because I think it's a sneaky one, in that we can get caught up into seeing something on social media or listening to somebody else's description about how you should feel about something, and then take it on without checking in. Is this my story? Is this my belief, my pattern, my decision, or have I allowed it to be installed in me without actually checking to see, does this make my heart sing? Does this feel uplifting? Does this resonate with my own core values and beliefs? So I think
my own core values and beliefs.
Exactly.
My
underline,
own.
underline.
Capitals, pom-pom moment. My own. Yeah.
Because we each have them, but we're not often conditioned, or do we sort of just check to say, are these words I'm about to use, are they in alignment with my authentic core soul self? Or am I wanting somebody to like me or approve of me? Or am I stuck in a story that I used to align with, and it doesn't serve me anymore? So the thing is, and I think everybody does it to one degree or another, is the comparing, the propensity to compare ourselves with our peers, with our neighbors, with our colleagues. And it's just a really important piece to just slow things down enough to say, is this me? Right?
Yeah, and I think I'm just going to say, with that comparing, sometimes you compare and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Because some days you go through something and then you go, God, I'm not feeling well, or something's happened. What's my emotion sitting in that? And then you go, what is it? And unless you can actually figure that out, that's where you've compared to someone and you haven't realized, oh my God, that's right, somebody did a social media post, or someone said that, or I witnessed that in real life. And then you're like, oh, that's comparing. And we may not necessarily know it's comparing. We may just go, why are we just feeling a little bit off? Maybe it's the weather, something's happened, and or I just can't figure out I don't have the time to figure it out, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But comparing is just such a, well, I can say it's a builder and destroyer, but comparing can definitely take you off course.
Absolutely.
But it can also propel you to go, I'm not going to be like that. But unfortunately, everybody's like everybody. I love that. I'm not going to be like my mother. Oh gosh, I hear my words come out. I'm like my mother. I'm not going to be like that. And we know the more you try not to be like somebody,
well, that's that whole thing, is
comes at a fast track.
Absolutely. Well, because it's so important to always remember that the subconscious mind never hears the word not. So if I say I'm not going to be like my mother, well, I'm just telling and announcing that I am going to do that. And so even the universe doesn't really get the not. I don't want that. I don't want that.
No, the moment you say it or think it's fast tracked. It's boot camp. Boom. Let's take it straight there. Yeah. And you're like, I just spoke about that. I didn't want to do that. And then suddenly smack. Yeah,
exactly. And we've talked about that before on different episodes. It's the same as saying don't, right? don't do that. Because if I say to you, Deb, don't think of a pink elephant. Oops.
Well, you know what? And then I went, there is no other color. That's what I went. My mind. Which makes it even worse. Yeah. Like, yeah, what other colors are there for elephants? Okay.
That's cute. But that I love doing that, because even if people don't really understand that concept of the mind not hearing the no, don't, never, not going to, it doesn't, because what it hears is the thing that's right after that.
Yeah.
And it's a knee-jerk reaction, which is why I say we can undo it by taking a deep breath, put our hand over our heart, and just, like I say, I'm a big believer in just slowing down enough to watch the words that are coming out of my mouth. Because when we do buy into other people's stories, I don't know about you, Deb, but I've done this before, where I'll be watching myself say something and then I go, hang on a minute, that's not even my story. That's not my belief. Cancel that.
And then it comes out, and then then it just keeps coming, and you're like, and your internal's going, what?
Oh
and
my
it just
God.
keeps coming. Yeah. And then the reactions, and then you're like, oh dear, I've just jumped on the crazy train verbally, and it's not even my train.
Exactly,
and now I'm getting other people on my crazy train, and they're asking me stuff, and my head's going, this is not even yours. This is not even something you believe.
So it's time to pull the emergency brake and get off the crazy train.
Yeah. And just beep, 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 backing up. Yeah. But there is a positive to buying into other people's stories. And I'm going to put this out there, because it does make you assess, and it does make you go, is that what you want, or is that a bit of what you want? Not envy or jealousy or anything, but more wow, this is actually achievable. If they can achieve that, well, there's hope for me, because I'm a better person, quote, whatever, when you're not, you're just a person. But, there is that whole, oh, wow, okay, if they say that or they can do that, then there is actually hope for me. And I know when we hear as a parent, some people say things like, I'll give a scenario. My brother-in-law, I sold a table to these young guys on like you have eBay, or I think it's called, we have a thing in New Zealand called Trade Me. And I wasn't there to pick it up. My brother-in-law went, and they were two 19-year-old boys who had started a business a year ago, and they were just nearly cracked $1 million turnover in a year.
Wow.
And they'd started it, and then COVID hit. And so it just really launched them. So they made more money during COVID than anything, which is great to hear. They were just, they were 19. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were 19. And my brother-in-law was like, wow, this is really amazing. How did you start? What did you, and he was quizzing them, because he was so inspired by these 19-year-olds, and he's got two children. Right. One's 18 and the other's nearly 21. And, it just made him go. So at that time he was actually buying into their story.
Right.
But so he was definitely listening to their story and going, how'd you do this, etc., and how did you get that drive at such a young age? And then he took it back to his children.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah, so that's I don't know, I think one boo-hooed him and the other one was interested. Keeping it balanced. But that's actually definitely a positive of buying into those other people's stories. And he's then going to go out and say, wow, I met these two young kids and this is where they were at and this is what it was, knowing that if he meets anybody who wants their product, he's always going to think of those two 19-year-old boys.
Absolutely.
And they're from a small town in New Zealand, Invercargill, and so they were definitely not a major city, major town, not massive, but it just made it even more impactful. So if someone's going to talk about it, he's bought into their story definitely, but he's bought some amazing stuff that goes with it.
So here's the thing. I love that story, but I would kind of differentiate. You're buying into my story. That. I would differentiate. I'm buying into your story. I differentiate with that simply because what your brother-in-law did was witness something that was very positive, very, very successful, very auspicious. That's one of my favorite words, by the way. It's very auspicious behavior. Look at the success they did. Yeah. And so he's, to me, with what you just described, he wants to look at what attributes created that. And that's something that I think is the elevated approach is whenever we see somebody else's success and we go, wow, that was awesome. How did you do it? What did you do? The thing about it is it's possible for us. And we can then make it our story. So it's not necessarily buying into somebody else's story. Whereas for me, when I talk about buying into somebody else's story, it's more like where somebody might say to me, oh, you can't go down that street because people are really nasty down that street, or
things will happen to you.
Or, you'll get robbed, or things will happen. That's a story, and so I'm going to go, okay, thank you. That's your story. I'm still going to decide what I'm going to do. Yeah. Whereas some people might go, oh no, and they might then repeat it to other people. No, you can't go down that street because, and so then they just took on a story.
Well, that's the referral basis, isn't it?
Exactly.
Don't go to that coach. Go to that coach. Don't go to that thing. Go to that.
And I think it's just so important. If nothing else from our conversation, I really hope our listeners hear that by all means, have conversations with people, especially when you see somebody creating the success that you think, oh, wow, I'd love to be able to do that. How did you do it? What? But also recognize that every time we see something that we really like in another person, it's in us. It has to be in us because we wouldn't recognize it otherwise.
We just have to find it.
We just
not be so goddamn lazy.
But also trust it, not get in our head about like, oh my God, how do I do this? And what, and how do I excavate it out of myself or make it come into being? Because a lot of times people will tell me that is the flip side of people saying every time you see something in another person that you don't like, you have that too. And it's really funny because in my conversations with people, they find that one easier to take. And it's because they go into this shaming thing. Yeah, I suck because look, I don't like that in that person. And so it seems to be taking that on in order to, undermine their confidence or undermine their self-esteem, undermine their self-worth.
Yeah.
Whereas that one feels like a bit of a stretch for a lot of people that, no, if you can see somebody being successful and has $1 million in the bank and all the bells and whistles that go with that, if that's what you see, it's possible for you too.
Yeah, and I think, just when you're sort of talking about the success and the health, the success and the wealth, we have it in our form that is our highest priority, our highest value to us. So we may see somebody who's a public speaker may go, wow, they reach their audience of 500,000 people a time. Yeah. And we reach our audience of 5 people at a time. But where's our highest priority? So maybe you're a mother and you can stand up in the playground and you can reach all those kids at once, way more than you would if you're doing. So where is your highest priority, mother or father or anything? But, it's not comparing. So it's defining what specifically they do that you admire or dislike, and where do you do it in your form? Yeah.
That's brilliant, because that's like an underpinning of the work that I do, is that to really help people understand that each one of us has our own unique gift, our own flavor, our own piece of the divine, if you like, and it's our responsibility to share it. But sharing it could be standing in Walmart and being a greeter. Or it could be doing the motivational speaker and speaking to 500,000 people at a time. It doesn't matter. It's not to judge what it is. It's to look at what makes your heart sing. What do you feel like you could do all day long? And then you're going to see examples of how that could be for you. And so then you embody it and start to say, okay, I'm going to have a little bit of this and a little bit of this, and here's my blend.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just thinking of people, I just was talking to someone recently and they're like, oh, Tony Robbins, I want to be like Tony Robbins. I want to, why can't I get like Tony Robbins? I'm like, Tony Robbins has been around for how long?
Oh, gosh.
I know. And I'm like, and you're what age?
30, 40
and
years.
Yeah. Nearly my whole age.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and you just want to start this coaching business and be like Tony Robbins right now. Right. Okay. So I actually just want to say good luck to you. But then it's like, okay, Deborah, let's just break this down. Let's break this down. What specifically do you admire? Is it that he actually gets his message across and people listen? And that was actually the thing. He gets his message across and people listen. Okay, so where do you get your message across?
Yeah.
And people listen.
Yeah.
Like, let's look at the bigger picture and have an impact, if that's what it is.
But then also too, I really encourage people not to do that. Like, I want to be like Oprah, or I want to be the next Tony Robbins. Because it's no, you be the next Deborah Cooper and I'll be the next Moira Hutchison. And by all means, take the attributes from the people that you like to create and have them come through you. But see, that speaks of comparing when we say, I want to be like that person.
I just actually have to say, because the first thing I said to the female was, and I said, oh, you want to be this tall and have a, She went, what? I said, well, you said you want to be like Tony Robbins. I said, you want to be this tall and you want to have a, And she went, no. And I went, oh, okay. So let's break it down.
You have to be really concise here.
That's exactly it. So I wasn't going to tell that part of the story, but that's exactly it. It's like, what is it? Let's break it down to what specifically you actually want. I don't want to be a Tony Robbins. I want to be a Deb or a Moira or whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
A quick wee message before we get back to this episode. You can get access to a special gift Moira and Debz have put together for you. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift. When you sign up, you'll receive instant access to an inner peace kit and the 30 Days of Wisdom program, both of which is intended to help you feel deliciously motivated right away. Go to deliciouslymotivatedmindset.com/gift.
But the thing is, and this is part of when we see these things that we do like and the things that we don't like in other people, those are like little nudges and taps of the different pieces that are becoming through you, right? And it helps you then step into your authenticity of Deb and of Moira, right?
Yeah, and that story about them. So the other thing, that story you see about them is can be different to the person sitting beside.
Oh,
you can
absolutely.
You can see and hear something, and then the person beside you has watched exactly the same thing, and they can see and hear something completely different. Completely different. Can be similar, but can also be worlds apart. And then you're left with, how did you not pick that up? They're like, I didn't see that. He said this. This is what I took.
Exactly. And that's the same thing. My coach used to say this, that if she was on a group call with, say, 4 of us, she would ask, how many versions of me are here? The truth is there's 4. Because like you just said, the Debs that I know is not necessarily going to be the Debs that any other person in your family know even.
Yeah.
But that's the other part too, is to think about, if there was an accident and let's say there was 20 eyewitnesses to an accident, and the police go around and interview all the eyewitnesses, they're going to get 20 versions of what happened.
That's exactly it. And all they're going to discover is the color of the skin and maybe the hair color and maybe the color of the top. But that's probably, that person. Okay.
But the other part too is that even, and because the mind can be such an interesting thing, is that I remember reading this story. It was quite funny about, not funny, but funny. But the story went that this person had broken up, had his heart broken by his partner, his young love, And then years later, a car drives by him that's the same color of the car that she drove off when she broke up and broke his heart. And so all of a sudden, his day goes from being really great and he's there with his current family and happy, and then he's totally gone, switched. He didn't consciously say, there's that color of the car, and have it triggered. So that's what I'm saying about the different filters that we will look at things through.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And you know, when you see you're talking about that car, but you know, when you see a car that you used to own when you were younger, you see, and it takes you straight back to that. I remember that car. That was amazing. It, you know, used to drag everybody off the lights. Maybe not Moira, maybe Deborah. But we do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do bring back those stories, and those stories are our memories.
Yeah.
And you can change those stories at any time, and whether positive or negative. But it's about looking at what other people's stories are and what you feed them to buy into. And as a parent, this is one that we, you know, don't cross the road because you're going to get hit by a truck. Well, I've never seen a truck on that road, you know. So you're framing up the child to go on this road that you're going to get hit by a truck.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
Don't run across the road. You might fall over. Well, God, I remember thinking, I don't even want to run. I don't even want to run now, because if I'm going to run, I'm going to fall over. Yeah. And it's these stories that as parents, we think we're doing right. Mm-hmm. But in reality, we're creating a vision, a story for children to have a little bit of fear, which we think we're doing right.
Yeah. No, that's actually a really, really good point, because if you think about that, the child that's been told don't run across this road because you'll get hit by a truck, then that I
think everyone got that, didn't they? Well, how's he going to run? I'm not going to dilly-daddle. I'm freaking going to run across the road. I'm not going to mince across the road really slowly.
Well, unless I do. But then you see, then if you have that within you, and then you just buy into that story, then in your adult life, you'll be like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't do this because, and you right there, that's why I'm saying it's so important to stay present, to take a deep breath and ask yourself, do you know that's the truth? Like you just said, there's never been a truck down that road. So then why am I listening to that story that I bought into? Because it's not true.
Well, we bought into it because it was our parents, and our parents are gospel. Like, our parents are God. They tell us the truth. They never lie. They tell us everything to look after us. They have their best intention for us ever at 100% of the time. Can hear my BS stories already. Yeah. No, they're doing their things to survive. And why? Because
I said so.
You know. Yeah.
But no, because that's the key piece though, is and we were talking about that earlier, is that sometimes you'll hear those stories coming out your mouth of, oh, I can't go down this road because fill in the blank, right? But if you watch yourself going, oh, where did that come from? Because I actually don't know that. And so I'm just going to say, well, I'm going to go down the road and see what happens. Trusting that whatever happens is fine with me. I can deal with whatever it is, right?
Yeah, I think in the coaching industry, jeepers, I go from 0 to 100 sometimes, and I try not to sit in judgment, and I literally just want to slam some people, and I do just go back into my heart. And when I'm ready.
After having that little snarky.
Yeah, 0 to 100, yeah. Because people say, best coach ever in the whole world or whatever, and, it's like, no. You just got your teaching practice 3 months ago. No, right. You're not. No. Yeah. And those things, and I can guarantee you can make $1 million in 3 months, that sort of stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, do people really buy into that? And desperate people do. And I go, why would you? And I just get heartbreaking. Yeah, that's where I go from 0 to 100, because I just go.
I can relate. Yeah.
Yeah. I just I freaking hate it. I just hate it. Like, I do giggle. The latest one I giggle is someone goes, best-selling author for this, and I've just won this award, and I'm like, oh, I know who you publish through. You pay them this amount, and then you get this title. Oh, right. I got that. And I remember actually saying that to somebody. I don't remember who it was. Someone just said, oh my God, they've got this amazing recommendation. Oh, it was a book, the forward in a book. And they said, oh, they've got this forward from this amazing celebrity, and they've got 3 of them, and da-da-da. And I said, oh, you can buy some of those. There's some people who will sell their forwards.
Their testimonial.
And like,
the right.
They're like, what do you mean? I said, oh, here, I'll show you the website. Because I'm like, BS, that's not true. That's not. And I went, oh, here you go. Here's the website. And just went, there you go. And they were just like, oh, I've always bought books by this person who's written this. Like, no way. And that's it. And so that's another way of buying into other people, literally buying into other people's stories.
And literally, yes, you're right. Absolutely. But then you see it's buying into another story of, I have to elevate myself to that. So therefore, you don't get to find, this is like a Wizard of Oz type thing. Who's hiding behind that curtain?
Ta-da!
Will the real you please come out?
Yeah. Please stand up. Please stand up. Yeah, it is. And I think that's the thing that, so just be aware, well, everything can be bought for a price. And people go, no, they can't. You can't buy this. But just know everything can at a price. If you're going to sell your children, someone offered you billions and billions of dollars, you could easily sell your child. If they said, we're going to look after your child and do all stuff, not the nasty stuff, but they said, we're going to look after them, we're going to do this, and they're going to take them everywhere they want to do, and da-da-da. Everything is bought for a price, which is a real horrible thing to say, because I'm like, I would never sell my daughter. But there's that, but you never know. She should go, she's ever listening to this, she's going to go, Mum, did you sell me? Actually, I do remember when I was younger, I did put a bet on my daughter for a day to this young couple who worked on a farm, and I said, I'm fitter than you, to the husband, and I said, if I complete this mission of this timing of the running and the exercise and everything, I don't even remember what I won, but I said, if I lose, you can have my daughter for a day. And my daughter was probably 12 or 13. She was like, Mum, you what? Did you just bet me? And I was like, it's fine. He's going to drink till 2 hours beforehand. He's going to drink all night till it was like a 6 o'clock. I was like, you'll be fine. She's like, Mum, did you just really bet me? In front of my auntie and uncle too. And it was a joke. And yeah, I thought he would actually sleep through the next morning, but he didn't. He got up. Anyway, he didn't last long because he had lots of alcohol. I must admit, I did actually fill his drink bottle with vodka. Just because I did have a little bit of fear.
Just to be sure. Just to be sure.
Just to secure my chances that I wasn't going to palm my daughter off for 24 hours to go on their farm and work. But funny. So everything can be bought. And there was no price in that. That was bought. Ego.
So you know what I was thinking of, and I don't know why I thought of this when you were describing that.
Selling my daughter.
Selling your daughter. But I remember being in a workshop many, many years ago, and the instructor said, I think he was asked, he's posing a question. Would you do you want to be a millionaire? Was the question. Yes. Yeah. She answers yes. Are you willing to do anything to become a millionaire? And she says yes. And he said, okay, I want you to go out onto the corner and sell your body. I want to go stand at there's like hookers down the road here, and I go, yeah. And she's like mortified. Absolutely no freaking way would I ever do that. And he's going, well, then you need to revisit your story. Because you're not willing. I think you're
going to say chop your 2 legs off. Let's just get the saw out. That's actually what I was thinking. I don't know what would be the hardest, but yeah, it is, and that's a great story of a story. Mm-hmm. Change your story, because if you think you're going to do anything, you're actually not going to do anything.
That's right. So but this is why it's so important to pause. Find your own pauses, whether that means go for a walk outside, go walk your dog, go pet Ben.
He's lying right by my feet now. Yeah.
I mean, I very often throughout my day will just pause and take a few deep breaths, change my perspective, to just make sure that I'm being genuine, I'm authentic, I'm actually coming into my own inner guidance and not getting caught up in, oh, all I have to do is this, or oh, I have to do it this way because these people have told me that this is the way to get this business done or this. It's funny actually, because
that's where your intuition comes in massively.
Exactly.
Carry on.
And that's that question. You've heard me do this before where I say, how does this make me feel about me? So how does making this Facebook post make me feel about me? How does having these podcast conversations make me feel about me? And it has to be good. It has to be, it makes me feel authentic. It makes me feel aligned with my calling. Because if it's not, then I'm buying into some other story that's not mine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and you also do another one. You say something like, is this the truth, or is this truthful, or is this, I don't know how you word it, but to me the word truth just comes up. Truth.
Yeah.
Is it
do
true?
I know this to be
Is it true?
Yeah. I know this to be true? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a great one that I often think about as well. It just grounds me and goes, when people say stuff, I go, And that's, I guess that comes back to your intuition too.
Yes. Yeah.
Is when you're buying into other people's stories. But when it comes to your own stories, is this the truth? Only you know the truth. But it also depends on your sleeping, what you've eaten that day, your emotions of every day, because today's truth could be different to tomorrow's truth. Precisely. When you witness the same thing. Yeah.
And it's to be loving and accepting of yourself. You know, we've talked about the 4 agreements before. That fourth agreement is always do your best. But to me, I feel like that's such an important reminder to us that your best is going to change from day to day, depending on what time of day it is, how much sleep you had, did you exercise,
the people around
meditate,
you,
the people around you, absolutely, because we can pick up energy from other people and then even have that weighing on us without us even really realizing what happened, right? So it's about making sure you're not picking up other people's it's not only just not buying into other people's stories, but not allowing other people's energy to take up any vibes in you,
to filter in. And I guess I call it my glitter bubble. You know, you've talked about your snow globe, you know, and that's exactly it. And you stay in your snow globe, my glitter bubble, you know, and it's important for me to have that. And so I'll let people infiltrate. I'll let people come into my snow bubble, you know, my glitter bubble, but then I'll also just take bits of them and then throw the rest out, you know, and so it's just what I need at that time is coming into my
absolutely. And then you're in control. And so it's not necessarily that you're being a vampire and taking from other people, because it's actually within your own vibration. That's why you're seeing it. And you're then saying, thank you. Now all the rest of the energy that doesn't serve me can go because I've got what I needed. So, this has been a good conversation. Sorry, you're going to say?
It is a great conversation. It's definitely made me open my eyes and ears to other stories that I've attached to. You know, I've talked a bit about coaching. So clearly there's an emotional charge in there for me. So that would be wise for me to clear so I come into that neutral state about that. But that's
really probably important to get yourself into neutral, because when we can be in neutral, it doesn't mean that the good and the bad go away. It means I get to say yes to this and no to that with no emotional charge. So then you don't go from 0 to 100.
I do go from 0 to 100, but you know, I also love that I can go back into our conversation, hear things I've said and go, oh, there's an emotional charge there. So it's acknowledging that and then doing something about it. So that's something definitely I'm going to work on, because I do go from 0 to 100 and I just go, are you serious? Did that really happen? Etc.
Yeah. So bringing our conversation to a close, that felt like a really good way to wrap up this idea of buying into different stories. So Deb, let's go back into our rating, because I'm intrigued now. to see where are you on that scale of 0 to 10.
I'm just going to say a 1
Okay.
because I've got some work to do.
Okay.
But I love the acknowledging. I love how we've flowed with this conversation. I love your analogies and mine, and I love that. But I've come out of here with work to do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say a 1.
So you're going to say a 1. I'm going to say a 1 also, actually, just because, keeping the vibe. I'm going to buy right into your story now.
Because we're copying each other. We copy each other all the time.
No, we don't.
Yep. No.
No, but I still love this topic. But, I think it's something, I don't know that I will ever go to a 0 on something like this, simply because I said at the beginning of our conversation today, I find this one quite sneaky because it's so important to stay on top of what are those thoughts spinning in my head and are they mine? What are those words that are coming out of my mouth and are they checked through by my heart energy and in alignment with me? And so it's just something that's what I'm saying. It's not to be hypervigilant or anything. It's just to keep an awareness. And
that's actually a great point because, when I think about this, I don't know, when you talked about being a 0, I was like, I don't know if I would be a 0 on this.
Yeah, that's my feeling is that it's just, it's not to say, I have to be way up here at a 6 to keep myself safe. It's not that. It's just an awareness and just go, how's my breathing? How am I feeling right now? How am I feeling about myself? How am I feeling about this project or about this client work that I'm about to jump into? So it's just to just keeping that loving awareness around yourself. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'd love to know how people have moved. So we've moved from a 3 to a 1. Hey. At least we've moved. Yes. There's definitely been a shift. That's the thing. Yeah, if it's 0.5 or whatever. Yeah.
That's all.
I'd love to hear how everyone else went.
So we'd love to know. And I'd also love to know from our listeners, how do you discern if you're following somebody else's story or if you're getting in touch with your own and making sure that you're listening to the wisdom that's within you? I'd love to hear. And if you need some help, please reach out to either of us or both of us. We're here to lovingly support as much as we can.
Yeah, with your gentle stiletto kick from Deborah.
And a warm nurturing hug from Moira. To go to Deb first for that first kick. Yeah. And then I'll hug.
I can assure you Moira has a stiletto kick as well, except hers are more boots and not a stiletto, I will say.
You're funny. This has been a good...
Yes. So that's Ben and Deb signing off.
Ben and Deb signing off. Awesome conversation. Look forward to our next one. Bye, listeners.
Thank you.
Bye, Deb. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.